Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to Let's Live with Thurman Greco. We are coming to you from Channel 23 in scenic downtown Woodstock, and this is educational television. And we are also coming to you from YouTube, Let's Live with Thurman Greco. And we have got some return guests this evening that I'm very excited about because they're not always available. You have to kind of hope that you've caught them when they have maybe not such an over-busy moment. So we have got the creators of Murder Cafe. And so would you start off by introducing your name and telling us a little bit, and then we'll ask you.
Sure. I'm Frank Marquette, and I am the co-founder, co-operator of Murder Cafe. What is Murder Cafe? What an odd name. I know that's what you're thinking. Well, I toiled away in quote-unquote legitimate theater starting when I was 17 up until my 40s, and I was asked to audition for a murder mystery dinner theater company. At the time, we were living in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm thinking, murder mystery dinner theater? I'm not quite sure I understand what that even entails because there isn't a stage. And I was cast and I became addicted to it. Number one, we got paid. Number two, they gave us dinner. So that's a good thing. So my family and I, we moved to Las Vegas, Nevada in the summer of 1997. I was, in addition to being a sales manager with the local newspaper, I was looking for acting opportunities and I didn't quite find what I was looking for, so we started Murder Cafe on our dining room table. That was 26 years ago. We brought it back home 15 years ago. We currently live in Rosendale and we travel throughout the region year-round. Last year we had 51 bookings plus 3 mystery weekends plus 13 performances of Christmas Carol. This year it's looking even busier. Lots of stuff, lots of details. So that's it in a nutshell.
That's great. And can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Kristen Marquette, and I am the sounding board in this. Occasionally I offer suggestions and advice and opinions about things, but my other main job is to learn the show and design how the characters are going to appear and then create their costumes. And then it's a collaborative process between me and the actors. And for some shows, I've actually physically created from the ground up the costumes. Christmas Carol comes to mind, which is all kind of 1850s-ish. So, you know, it's a real period piece. So all those long gowns, I made them because you can't just buy them. And they've held up. That's the amazing thing.
Did you sew before you started doing this?
Yes.
Okay, so you already knew what was going on.
Right. Well, I started sewing when I was in the 6th grade.
Yeah, it stays with us, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, my mother, way back when, we didn't have any money, and she would get hand-me-downs and remake them for me, and I hated it because it was all out-of-date stuff. And even from a very small child, I was always paying attention to what everybody else was wearing. Go, oh, yeah, dresses with crinoline slips and Mary Jane shoes. I didn't have that. So I got tired of it, and I said, look, I don't want to wear this old stuff anymore. I want some new clothes. She goes, well, if you want new clothes, you're going to have to learn how to sew. And I said, well, will you teach me? And she goes, no, you're going to have to wait for your grandmother to come home from college. She went to college when she was 50, and ask her to teach you. So she did, and from that point on, I made my own clothes, and then I started doing commissions for other people. And I don't sew for myself really anymore, but I do still do things for the theater.
When you work on a costume, or when you put together the clothing for the cast, what is the foundation piece? What do you start with?
Well, It really depends on who the character is. Because, you know, the last show we did, we had 6 different characters. And for instance, we had the Colonel. So in my mind, I'm looking at Colonel Sanders. So I needed a white suit and, you know, a kind of westernish looking hat. And, you know, he already came with a nice white goatee. And so I built it all from there. And he contributed some things. He had a nice bolo tie. And so between us, we put him together. And
Is that how it works?
a lot of times, I mean, I really appreciate an actor who collects usable things and keeps them for that time when he needs that certain something that really informs his character. Like, I never stop looking for that interesting thing to add to my collection. And I use them all eventually. So, when we started in Las Vegas, we had an actor who would come to dress, you know, costume night with a great big suitcase. And he would say, okay, I'm so-and-so, look what I brought. This suit, this suit, this suit. I have these shirts, these ties, cufflinks, shoes. And I could, from what he brought, because he really saw himself as an actor and he was always costuming his character. So he was very visual. That is not the norm here. Pretty much people come in and they go, okay, what are you going to put me in?
Uh-huh.
And I like people who think ahead to characters.
Well, and if you're going to stay in this business, I bet you have a big closet.
Well, we have a space, a nice warm cellar, which is below my salon, which is 750 square feet, 50% of which is all costumes and props. So yes, that's 26 years of collecting.
Wow.
And we still collect. I'm driving up here and I saw 2 vintage stores that I hadn't noticed before. It's like, are they going to be open when we are done with the show? We have been in thrift stores from California to New York and everywhere in between, right?
Yeah.
We're always looking, always collecting, and people donate. For a couple of years ago, it came to my attention that fur coats are passé. No one wants to be seen in a fur coat anymore. So someone donated some very classy vintage fur coats, full-length fur coats and so forth. And we have used them. So the collection just continues. Salvation Armies and all the vintage stores, we just keep haunting them, but the collection just keeps growing. And you never know. It's like, we're going to use this piece. And sometimes we'll find something and we'll go, we have to write a character for that particular jacket.
That happens a lot.
That happens a lot. Yeah, we found, okay, the show we just did at Mohawk Mountain House, we did Mystery Weekend at Mohawk Mountain House. And it was set in 1974. It's a talk show called Talk to Death. And you remember the Carson show from that era.
Yeah.
Remember Doc Severinsen and the jackets he used to wear. We were in a vintage store up in Hudson. We found the Doc Severinsen jacket. We have to find an actor who fits that jacket. And we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, we're just looking through the racks. Oh, look, it's Doc Doc Severinsen right here. All we need now is a gaudy tie and,
But
and an actor to fit it.
we're artists and we're very visual. And I sometimes make the assumption, like Kristen does, that everyone else is very visual. How do you envision this character? Give me a prop, give me an object. It could be a pen that this character cannot live without. What kind of hat would this character wear? And then it starts from there.
Wow. So when you have a murder weekend, what does that mean?
Okay, we take one of our plays, or they're all original and customized for Mystery Weekend. Mystery Weekend, by the way, Mohawk Mountain House is the granddaddy of Mystery Weekends. They originated Mystery Weekends up there 48 years ago. You take a play, you break it into 4 parts. Act 1 is Friday night.
Oh.
Act 2 is Saturday morning, Act 3 is Saturday night, and the reveal, Act 4, is Sunday morning. There's lots of activities in between, and it's just, like I said, I did 3 mystery weekends within the last month.
At Mohawk Mountain?
No, I did one at Mohonk, I did one at Congress Hall down in Cape May, and we did one at the Beekman Arms in Rhinebeck, all different shows,
Oh, that's wonderful.
all different costumes.
So you have really 2 things that happen, 3 things that happen. First of all, you're scouting the costumes all the time.
Right.
And then you're looking for people to go in the costumes. And then you're looking for hotels and maybe convention centers or something. You're looking for locations where you can put the costumes and people.
Correct.
And then it's up to the hotel to find the customers. No, you find the customers too?
Depends
Well,
on the
it
venue.
depends on the venue. I have a marketing background. I'm also a graphic designer. So when I collaborate with a venue, it could be a local restaurant, it could be a hotel, a resort, a casino, or a major resort like Mohonk, I will collaborate with them on the sales and marketing of the event. I have just about 11,000 people on my email list. So I
my
promote,
goodness.
promote, and that's something that I offer venues, particularly local venues. In April, next month, we're going to be at 5 different locations. So I just sent out a newsletter today. I help those venues promote as long as they collaborate and blast everything out to their lists to fill the rooms.
Okay, so you put everything together.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. So you end up with all of it together. And do you have actors that go with you?
We have a troupe of actors that many of them are in many of our shows, but we also continue to audition for new people because the number of shows keeps expanding and there's only so many actors and they can't be in every single one. It's not humanly
Right.
possible. Sometimes it is not outside the realm of possibility on a Saturday night to have 3 shows in 3 locations for which we need a cast.
So you need 3 casts.
Exactly.
Well, it's funny, I had a conversation with Lauren Roberts, who's my assistant, this morning about this. My October, if I showed you my October schedule, it would look like a Jackson Pollock painting. How's that?
Oh,
So, and it keeps coming, so we need to double cast. There's no other way. There's no way out of this. We're gonna have to double cast and have one, certainly 2 troops circulating. And you're right, there's been nights, particularly in the month of October, and in December, we've had 2, if not 3, different performances.
Well, do you traditionally have a down season?
We used to.
When was that?
Probably, I don't know.
January, and then maybe August.
Yeah, but I mean, when it came to, how long did it take for us to be busy all year once we came back here? Because we've never been busier than we have been for like last 7 or 8 years.
Right, but then there was the COVID interruption, the pandemic interrupted that, and we are busier now than we've ever been, and I would say we restarted Murder Cafe 15 years ago when we moved back here to the Hudson Valley. And I would say, and I was still working a full-time job, and I would say it took 5-6 years for me to walk away from a full-time job and be able to do this full-time. We were bumping along 30+ shows a year, and now we're up to 50+. This year it's going to be even more.
Well, and you're right here in the Hudson Valley now.
Correct.
But Cape May,
I know, it's 4 hours, but it's worth it.
and have you ventured over into Pennsylvania at all?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
I can tell you've talked about it.
We have.
Yeah.
We have. That's the thing. I mean, as busy as we are and as many bookings as we have and as many calls as I get, and I get 2 to 3 calls or emails a week from people looking for shows, I still solicit. I target certain resorts that I think we should be in, and that's something else that I do. That's where my sales background kicks in.
So it's just kind of taking on a life of its own.
Right.
Well, it kind of has had a life of its own for a long time, but ever since we started up at Mohawk, we started thinking about what's so great about this. It's that we're in one location for 3 days. So because we're an on-the-road theater company, it's drive, set up, do the show, break down, leave. Next night, same thing. You do that 3 times in a weekend, you're exhausted by Sunday night. But when you're at a resort, you're in one place, and your show is done in chapters. And with any luck, depending on the resort you're dealing with, they have a lot of other activities surrounding what you're doing. So it's a full weekend of fun things for the participants, and we provide a portion of that. But we set up and knock down once in 3 days, which is great.
Right. And like she said, I mean, once Mohawk hired us to do their mystery weekend, which was 7 years ago, that changed everything for us. And up until last year, they were the only mystery weekend resort that we worked with. Now, this year, we're going to end up with 7 mystery weekends. We have Mohawk, we have Congress Hall down in Cape May, we have the Pridwin on Shelter Island, and we just picked up Hampton Bay, which is on the south shore of Long Island. We're going to be there in October for a weekend. So a lot of detail. I mean, she talked about the costumes and how, I know, I'm sitting there, there was a moment last month when we were preparing for Mohawk. It was 1:15 in the morning. I was sitting in my easy chair, if that's what it really is.
His office.
I was designing a poster. She was sitting across the room sewing. It's like, well, what are we doing? Look at what we're doing at this age. But we're perfectionists. It has to be as good as it possibly can be. No detail, especially with Krista, no detail goes unnoticed.
Well, and with every show, I mean, you can talk about we're here this weekend, we're there, we come back every year, we do what, every show is a new beginning. So you have a new staff, I mean, and you have their dialogue.
Right.
You have the story, you have the costumes, you have everything. And you write the stories too.
Right.
I already heard that one the first night that you were here. I heard that one. You write the stories.
I write the plays. I do have, I mentioned Lauren Roberts. She has also written for us. She's written the last 2 October Halloween-themed plays. I have someone else who works with me, Ellen Pavloff. She's a very good editor. And she has no problems taking a rough draft and going through it and deciding what commas I left out. It's a running joke between us. But I pretty much create the theme, and we get ideas all the time. They keep popping up, and we both are lovers of mystery fiction, mystery novels. And I'm reading a book now that's given me an idea for next year. It just keeps going on and on and on. So we come up with a theme, and I write a rough draft. Each play usually has 7 or 8 characters, and then once the draft is finished, she proofs the draft. We'll read it out loud. Ellen will take another look at it and proof it, and then we cast it, and then the fun begins.
Yeah.
And then I sell it, and then I get people, because we have a following, and most of the venues that we perform in, they'll book, like January, they'll say, get out your calendar. I want to show in February, I want to show in May, I want to show in August, October certainly, and December, before they even ask what the shows are. Then I fill in all the dots, I fill in the blanks on the calendar, and then we go from there. We decide what shows we're doing where.
Well, it seems to me that you have three things going at any given moment. You have the actors, you have the venue, and you have the story.
Right. And then the sales and marketing of selling.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not even.
I know, it'll just make you dizzy to think of the
I know.
number of
But
details.
in order to put on a show, taking all of the marketing and all of that out, you've got to have a story that somebody's written. Obviously, you don't bother with anybody else's story. And then you've got people who, we keep talking about, now we've been talking about people who come to Mohawk Mountain, or people that come to Beekman Arms, or people who come to the community center, or whatever. But you also have actors that follow.
Mhm.
It's true. And
they are as important.
Oh, without them, we have nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I didn't
So if
bring
you've got somebody that wants to do in the 18th century ones, or she wants to do this one, but she won't work for that one.
right.
Yeah, we have that occasionally. They're...
Not that she's going to refuse, but she's just not going to be a good match for that one. She's better for this.
Well, this is the audition process too. Not everybody sees the
When do
role.
you get time to audition?
When we have a down minute.
Now run that one.
The last time we had auditions was in early December. We had auditions up at Mohawk Mountain House. And it was
in the middle of Christmas Carol
in the
season.
middle of Christmas. We had
December 18th. It's a very busy time.
we had 12 Christmas carols in December. 2 of them were up at Mohawk because they hire us to do Christmas Carol up there. And we stopped everything on a Monday night and we had auditions up there. We had 20 plus people show up. But even though most of them weren't cast in Mystery Weekend, we then cast them in other things.
Right.
We talk a lot, there are certain people that are perfect for certain roles, certain people aren't for others. Some of the roles require singing. Some of our actors, as good as they are, they don't sing.
There are a lot of details.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
details.
So you take singer actors.
Yes.
We have one who sings and acts and dances.
Right.
Oh, you do.
And she will do. She did the Marriage Can Be Murder over Valentine's Day, and she had a whole dance routine she taught the actors to do.
Well, I think it's worth mentioning her name, Marissa Gorsline. She lives in Kingston. She is the activities director at Tenbrook Commons. She had a 20-year career as a professional in Florida, London, and New York. She settled back in Kingston with her 4 young children. She dances, she sings, she teaches piano, guitar, and voice. And we are.
And she directed that show
right
for
in.
us.
Fits right in.
She fits right in
She
with
does
us.
all those things.
And I go, and she's one of these high energy people. And I said, Marissa, here's the script, cast it, direct it, take it on the road. I have 8 bookings for it. And she said, great, I'll let you know what costumes and props I need. And she's sewing gowns and,
Like crazy.
yeah, put the whole thing together.
Oh my
I know that's a picture there's 3 of the goddesses from that show.
Oh. Well, and then too, when you fix something, there's one thing to learn to sew, especially with the grandmother. I can identify with that. But there is another thing entirely, to come up with a costume that is going to be completely rebuilt 15 times.
Mm.
Because the people are all different.
That's true.
The measurements are all different. So when you're going to make something that somebody's going to really enjoy and wear and live in and all of those things, that's one kind of sewing. But to make something somebody's going to live in and enjoy and all of those things, and then next week somebody else is going to have it.
Yeah, well, that is an issue that comes up occasionally.
Okay.
I mean, it's not so hard once we have our stable of actors and we know what fits what. But this is why I have, 350 square feet of nothing but costumes.
Well,
But then,
need that.
we will visualize a certain costume on a certain actor who's playing a specific character, and it's one of our favorite 1940s double-breasted suits. She has to take it in, she has to take it out. The next year, someone else is gonna wear it. Gotta take it in, maybe take it out, right?
Well, yeah, this is,
Hem it up, all those things.
Yeah.
She spends a lot of nights, the pant leg goes up, it goes down.
yeah.
We probably
And
have, 40
shoes.
shirts, white dress shirts, forget all the other shirts. White tuxedo dress shirts. We keep buying them because,
Because they get used a lot and
They
they
get used
wear
a
out,
lot.
so you have to keep replenishing.
Vests.
And when
This
you-
is why costuming never ends.
That's a whole other thing, and that's true. You hang out in the vintage stores because that's where your work, that's the stories.
right.
Yes.
Those things have all been worn, so they're not going to, some of them are gonna last a long time, but some of them are just, you can only remake something.
Well, I have to tell you, when I am out searching vintage, I'm looking for the Union label
Yes.
because those things are well made
Yeah,
and the fabrics are good. How they were made was good, and they, as old as they are, still stand the test of time. Plus, when I sew for longevity.
do you really?
Oh, heck yeah. I don't want to have to redo this.
Okay, so you make something that's gonna last a long time, but you know that you're going to let it out here and put it in there.
Well, I have costumes that I have. You don't get to wear it unless you can fit into it. Well, I mean,
So when you find actors, they've got to fit into the costume.
well, whenever possible, because that just makes your life easier. When we started this business back in Las Vegas, costuming was easy for me because everybody was either auditioning for a commercial in LA or they wanted to be in the chorus of some show on the Strip, and so they had to fit into a very finite size range. Costuming was a breeze for me in those days. I
Right.
came here and everybody's every which size, every which height. And I started actually, for some people, literally having to build a costume from the ground up on somebody who had a figure that you would never find something that fit. But you had to create it. And I've got some fabulous costumes that were made that way.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, but you know what? You have to be a person. See, I work on a mannequin. I don't work with patterns. I make my own patterns. I build something on a human-shaped form. I might take some rough
All right.
measurements.
So you work on a mannequin, and the mannequins adjust.
Right.
So you know who's going to wear it.
Yeah, I take
So,
measurements and
yeah,
I
okay.
adjust my mannequin
Okay.
until it is roughly the shape of the person for whom I'm creating a costume.
So then when it's done, there it is. That
Yes.
makes a lot of sense. You've got that one down. That. But the shoes, what about the
Shoes are a big problem. Because in today's world, men don't tend to have dress shoes. They don't have a wardrobe of shoes. I mean, I've come to the point where I find shoes I want and I send a text out to everybody. I go, you know what? These shoes, which are important for many eras that you work with in us, are on sale at this place. Do yourselves a favor and me and buy a pair and put them in your closet.
Yeah.
Because they will come in handy.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I can't provide everything.
Come on, girls, get it together.
No, men.
Men, oh.
The women are easy because, they collect fashion.
Well, that's true.
But men today, they might have a pair of work boots and a pair of sneakers. That's pretty much it.
That is it.
Yeah. It's not like the old days where people dressed to go to work and they would have, dress shoes, casual shoes, sneakers, and maybe boots for the winter. I think that was kind of the norm until the
Yes.
last, since we've been back here, it's really been a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So the last 15 years.
Because a lot of our themes are period pieces.
Oh, yeah.
We've done the 1890s many, many times. That's a standard costume that I wear quite often. And then we've done the 1920s.
We do colonial.
We've done colonial. We have a lot of colonial. We've done, which are rare pieces. They're hard to find. And we've done 1940s. We've done the 1950s. We just did the 1970s, the disco era. She was obsessed over the right pair of glittery platform shoes for one of the characters, and she found them. But yeah, we've done all the different eras.
I will say this, that in modern times, like the last 7 or 8 years, you know what my best friend is?
What?
Amazon.
Really?
Oh yeah, I can Google.
You can get anything on Amazon.
Well, kind of. I will go to say, okay, show disco. I mean, I have a good idea. I have a good idea of what any era looks like. If we're casting, and I know we're doing a show, I mean, I already have a visual of how I want these people to look. And I either have parts that I can work with. My feeling is with costuming is it doesn't have to be authentic so long as the profile gives you the impression of. Because modern days, they don't know what things look like in 1845.
Right, they don't study the history.
No, but so long as the general impression is, so that gives you a lot of leeway and latitude. But 70s, I had a character who was not a standard size, and I needed bell-bottom pants, and I needed them to be loud. I go online and I go for loud disco bell-bottoms. A whole range of choices came up. So I ordered a pair, and I'm like this because it's getting close to the first performances. Oh, I hope they fit. I hope they fit. They came, and thank goodness they fit. I just had to do a little minor adjustment on them, and they were good. And then the next thing is, oh, where am I going to find platform shoes to go with those disco pants? Amazon.
That's great.
Yeah, it was great.
But going back years and years ago, I don't remember what play we saw. And I knew this from years ago when I was doing theater. I was going to say legitimate theater. But I always paid a lot of attention to detail where my costume was concerned. And it seemed like things got passed. And we would go see a play. I remember we saw a play around the time we met, and it was a period piece, and one of the characters had modern shoes on. It was a distraction. It's a distraction, and we look for all those details.
You know something?
It makes a big difference.
Do you guys ever show up somewhere and you say, wow, this building would be perfect for...
All the time.
So, and do you pursue it occasionally?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We have.
Like if we
Sure.
go someplace and they've got a dining room that would be, oh my goodness, and we're sitting there having dinner. Can you imagine Christmas Carol in this room? This room is meant for that show.
Then, hey,
Then we go after them.
very good. Because there are a lot of
Sometimes,
things.
sometimes it works. Sometimes, like about a year ago, it was last summer. We were driving back from Binghamton, and we drove through the village of Downsville. I'd never been there before. There's an old schoolhouse that's been converted into a restaurant. It's on 2 stories. And we remember beautiful antique 19th century decor. And the owner happened to have been there that day, and I had a conversation with her. I gave her one of my brochures, and I said, have you thought of doing murder mystery dinner theater? She said, I would love to. She said, go upstairs and look at the banquet room. I went upstairs, beautiful banquet room, comfortably could seat 100, 120, and she said, we don't do a lot of events here because we do a huge bar business downstairs, but let's keep the conversation going. That's an example. It just, we're always looking. Yeah. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Or they think they might want this, but then when you start explaining what's involved, it doesn't quite work out.
Well, it takes, just because you have the perfect setting,
Right.
studio, theater, doesn't mean that you have the initiative to pull it together.
Correct. The problem is, and this, I don't want to name restaurants, but I'm thinking of one in particular. Restaurant, bar, both do very well, and then a banquet room. And how would you like to do murder mystery dinner theater? Oh, great. We did a murder mystery dinner there, sold out 100 seats. They had a buffet. They ran out of food halfway through. And I got called into the office and I was told, you should have told us that this is really hard on our kitchen, really hard on our staff. Because we have a bar business, they order off a menu. We have a dining room over
Blamed
here.
it on you.
But don't you have weddings here? They do
Yeah.
banquets and so forth?
They've got a banquet hall. What do you mean it's too
So
much?
that's happened a couple of times.
You know, ever
No, we
since the
party
pandemic,
springs.
it has become more difficult to find venues that can easily accommodate a large group.
Well, people are afraid of crowds now.
Well, no, that's not the problem. It's getting the staff to work it.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have enough cooks. You don't have enough waiters.
We have a venue that we've been working there for 8 years, and a year ago they lost their chef who had been there for 20 years.
Oh, God.
The two head servers left. They haven't been able to replace them, and they just bump along. But there are other venues in the area. I'll name one: Hudson House Distillery in West Park on Route 28, south of Kingston. It's an old monastery. It's been converted into an event space and a distillery. They have a beautiful banquet room. The chef, the servers, everything. It's a well-oiled machine. They do everything right, and we always sell out there. It can work, you know. You partner and you make it work.
Well,
There's-
then what you're saying then, when it's a dinner theater, the hub is the chef.
Mhm. Right. And you also, these shows are timed. It's like Act 1, break, salad service. Act 2, break, entree service. Act 3, break, dessert, coffee, so on and so forth. I will create a timeline, which
Yeah.
all the servers have. It doesn't always work that way. We break for Act 2, and people are sitting and waiting for their entrees. And they are waiting and waiting and waiting for their entrees. We get blamed for that sometimes.
Well, they can't all go perfect.
No.
No, but
overall,
the customer who comes in for the dinner theater sees us, and they think we're responsible for the whole thing. We only do the entertainment.
so
don't do-
we have what we call whodunit sheets, which we put on each play setting. And name, email address, who do you think the murderer is and why, what are the clues, how was your murder cafe experience? We collect those sheets because we do a contest. So we're backstage, we flip through the sheets. How was your murder cafe experience? My chicken was raw. How was your murder cafe experience? I waited and waited and waited for a drink. That's nothing to do with us.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That's 1%, 2% of the total, but it's things out of our control. But as she said, they can't separate the entertainment from everything else that's going on.
That's true.
It's
Well,
dinner
you-
theater.
Yeah, and you don't expect them to realize the distinction. But because we ask them, how was the experience, they'll tell you.
Yeah. They will.
Well, is it getting easier?
Is it getting easier? I guess the answer is yes. I mean, as I'm getting older, we know what we're doing. As I told you before, I've learned to delegate, and that's been huge. I can now assign people different roles, and that part has made it easier.
But then you have to couple that with being so booked.
Right.
We have never had as many bookings as we have now. Do you know the year that COVID hit? We were on target to do the best year we'd ever done since we started this business. Lost the entire thing.
Yeah.
And the whole time, Frank's saying, "That's it, we're done." They're never. I go, Frank. You know, when they finally come back, we're going to be bigger and better than ever.
That's true.
You wait.
I didn't
see,
believe
he
it.
didn't believe it.
I didn't believe it. And we did radio theater. I created Hudson Valley Radio Theater. We were doing from my house on Zoom and Audacity, we were doing radio plays. All the actors were there on Zoom. They had the scripts. We recorded them. We edited them. We added music and sound effects. I didn't make any money doing it, but we had a lot of fun.
It kept you busy.
They kept us busy.
Well, and the people that tuned in enjoyed it. So.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
created, they're on YouTube. I created a channel on YouTube. They're out there. We haven't done anything like that in 3 years, but since we went back live, but we adapt, we're flexible. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think easy is really the word that you can use, because the more shows you have, of course, the more details you have to keep track of. And, you know, we wish we were this busy 20 years ago.
Right.
When we had more energy.
Right. Oh, isn't that the truth? I
Yes.
can understand that.
Yeah, so
Well-
I mean, the delegation part of it is really good, and we've needed to do that for a long time. But, you know, it takes time to assemble the cast of people that you work with that are dependable, that can move into a position where they're not just going to be on stage. Like most of our actors are really only interested on getting the costume and performing the piece. They're not interested in the nuts and bolts of what makes it happen.
Right.
But we do have some people that do it, and they're becoming more and more
Yeah.
integrated into the daily running
And
of the
they want
business.
to, and we have a core group of people now.
Yeah, these
that-
are people who can write, who can direct.
They,
You know,
they would do anything for the company and for the
yeah,
cause.
but they have talent too, which is, you know, the important thing. But it takes time to find those people.
One thing that made it easier is that I took myself out of the shows for the most part. I'm still in Murder at the Mansion. I'm still in Murder at the Mike. Up until 3-4 years ago, it was before COVID when this decision was made. I was in every show and I directed every show, and that stopped. I then delegated. We now have 4 people who are quote unquote directing and road managing. I have a show tomorrow night in Kingston at the VFW, Murder at the Speakeasy, and I'm not in it, but I'm going to be there just to help out, and because we have new sound equipment, we have a new sound tech who's wonderful, just to make sure that it's all running smoothly and maintain customer relations.
You know what?
That's my job.
That is a luxury. To be able to go in and just make sure that things are going smoothly,
Right.
rather than being in the middle and finding out something didn't work right and that it's too late.
Yeah.
Is there an association of dinner theater managers, dinner theater?
If there are, we don't know who they are.
I don't know.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. There's no union, there's nothing like Actors Equity or anything for dinner theater. There are professional dinner theater companies out there. Not around here. There's one in Florida. I think there's one in New York City. There's one in California, but no. And we do not hire equity actors because they can't work with us because it's a violation of their
Well,
contract.
your actors are different. I because of what you do, I don't think you. I mean, doesn't Providence just send them to you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
sometimes.
many ways.
Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
know.
We're very fortunate that way.
Well, every so often, someone will come to a show and go, "Man, I'd love to do that." And they
Okay.
say, and no, and they would say, "Oh, do you ever have auditions?" "Yes, we do." "Can I come and audition?" "Sure, you can."
Mention Roman, the Roman story.
Oh, Roman. I don't know how you found him.
Oh, I could tell you. You know the Ukrainian village in Kurhangsyn?
No.
There is a village in Kurhangsyn. It's an actual small village, town, that I don't know all the history, but there's a hotel on the property, there's a resort, and it was built for Ukrainian people many years ago. And we did a couple of shows there. And I met a man who works there by the name of Roman. I met him last summer when I was there for an appointment. So we were casting Talk to Death up at Mohawk Mountain House. We had auditions. And Roman contacted me and said, "May I come and audition?" I said, "Sure, you're welcome to come." Tell us what happened.
Oh, well, he took the first side, he went out, and he just opened his mouth, and he said the first couple lines. I said, "Oh my God, he's the character."
He's the colonel.
Yeah, and I just wrote down Roman.
It was
Carol
if
warns me.
I imagined this character. He walked through the door, there he was. And that has happened to us numerous times.
No, but the great thing about him is, not only is he tall, he's very imposing, he's great looking, he looks great in his costumes, he's got a fantastic radio voice. He memorizes like this, and he can do accents that he can hold for the entire show.
And he was a joy to work with.
Yeah.
And that's the whole package. He was new to us. It's like a blind date. You don't quite know what you're getting into. But he delivered. He was just amazing. Yeah. And then that happens.
Has he done more than one show?
We're going to sign him up for some other shows.
Yeah, we are.
As many as you
Well,
can.
he's brand new. I mean, he just did the one 1st of March, and that's the...
Well, that's just now.
Right.
Right.
Well, we just met him.
Wow. Well, you mentioned something else which we have not discussed at all. You have people who have a whole script that they learn for Friday night, and then they have another script on Saturday, and then there's next Wednesday, and
Oh, yeah.
how do they keep up with all those scripts?
Because they love it.
Well, let's talk about Ken. Ken Stalin is new to us. He's been working with
Oh,
us
yeah.
not quite 2 years. His story is not unlike many stories. He's a man of a certain age who always wanted to act. It's been all in his head his entire life. His kids are grown, and he auditioned for us about 2 years ago, and it's been a process. Now, right now, he's in 3 different plays, and he was in Mystery Weekend at Beekman Arms the last weekend in February. He played a butler from the 1890s. 1 week later, he's up at Mohawk Mountain House playing not 1 but 3 different roles in Talk to Death.
And brilliant in all of them.
Yes. A week later, we're at Congress Hall in Cape May, and he's playing a corrupt cop in Murder at the Speakeasy. He got his lines down like this. He's ready to go.
You know what? He's got that rare ability to learn lines and retain them,
Yeah.
which is, actors that you love, is we've had them drop out because they say, I just can't remember the lines anymore.
It gets harder.
It's very, very difficult to learn a script, but he's got that special ability where he just reads it, it's locked in his head. And for someone who hasn't acted, he's what we call very competitive, in that he looks around at what everybody else is doing, and he just has a real need to excel. So he pays attention to the people that are doing a good job, that are getting a great reaction from Frank, because as the director, he can see what works, and then he tries to incorporate that. So he's a quick study. This kind of person is who we're looking for.
Wow. Oh, and you have now plays through the year. This
We're
is-
booked up for December already.
Oh, okay, that's
December's
what I was
gone.
saying. Okay, so if you're booked up through December, how does somebody find out where you're going to be when, if they want to go to one of these?
Absolutely. MurderCafe.com, MurderCafe.net, either one. MurderCafe.com. Go to the calendar page. All of the shows are there. I update the calendar almost daily, and let's just say you go to a particular date, and we're doing Murder at the Speakeasy at Buttermilk Falls down in Milton. You go to that date, it'll have a description, click here for tickets. Very easy.
Oh, very nice. So it's Murder Cafe.
Correct. MurderCafe.com.
Okay, murdercafe.com. And this is going to, and you're all over the Hudson Valley.
Correct. And beyond.
And you
Yep.
have a reputation for a lot of Christmas business.
We do. Okay, to
that's
switch
at-
gears, yeah.
Where is it?
Where's Christmas Carol?
It's all over.
It's all over.
We're an on-the-road theater company. So
Okay.
we have our venues, 12 venues, and we take the show to 12 different ones.
How about 22 venues last year?
Oh, I'm just
22
talking about Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol, right now on the calendar, I have 14 performances of Christmas Carol.
So if somebody's working on a Christmas holiday, the children or the grandchildren are coming to visit,
Right.
then you just go to Murder Cafe and you can get your tickets.
Correct.
Yes.
Wow, that's wonderful. You guys have got it.
Well, it's taken 26 years to get here.
That's okay. I mean, you don't want anything to be instant, right?
No, instantaneous has never been the thing.
It's not going to
No,
work.
and I think we've talked about this before. I despise the word hobby. This never started out as a hobby. It's a love, it's a passion, yet it's a business. It's an art, yet it's a business. And that's where we're constantly, vacillating between the two.
You see, Murder Cafe has been our fourth child
Yeah.
for 26 years.
That's a good way of putting it.
You know how much time and effort and thought you put into your children?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It gets
Yes.
exactly the same amount of time and attention.
What
More
we-
now that they're
what
grown
we
out. but
strive
still.
for, what I live for, is to have people put down the phone, dress up, get in their car, drive to a venue, and enjoy a live show that has elements that sing to them, literally. Music, comedy, some interaction, as much interaction as you're comfortable with, because there's a lot of misnomers about mystery dinner theater. Are they going to pick on me? Are they going to call on me? Are they going to make me play a character? No. I can spot them immediately. The ones that come in, don't look at me, don't call on me, where's my food? Leave me alone. And then the other ones, it's like, I'm ready, bring it on, I want to be in the show. And then there's, most of them, it's like they're going to just sit there and enjoy it. It's a live show between them. I look around the room. What doesn't get easier, to answer your question, is seeing the number of people of all ages who sit through a live show scrolling through Facebook.
Oh, that is a very disturbing.
It is. And I have certain remarks that I make when I'm in the show. I'm not nasty. I will make light of it, and they'll put the phones down. They will spend few people, they will spend the entire show like this, videotaping us. And at the end, I'll come up to them and I'll say, did you enjoy it? Oh, it was so great. They didn't watch it. They were doing this. I said, give me your email. I'll give you mine. You send me the videos and the pictures, and I'll send you a gift certificate. What happens?
Do you get any? You
None.
never get.
Once in a blue moon. How many times? Maybe once?
I say last year maybe 4,
Yeah?
out of all the phones.
That's
Because
a lot.
if you look at, people go to concerts and they watch the concert like this now. We've seen it in Broadway theaters.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's terrible, and you think how? And I have filmed things too, thinking I never look at that stuff again.
No.
It's
Are
taking
you
up
gonna look at
space
it?
on the phone. So the show that they've just knocked themselves out to present to
And
all these
paid
people
money.
are lost in somebody's phone. They didn't actually participate in the liveness of it because they thought they'd watch this thing later, and I bet you a very, very small proportion ever look at it again.
That is a shame.
It's very sad.
And they're teaching children that.
You know what it is? You said they're missing the liveness. I don't think they know the difference. There are some people who do not know the difference between the live and the phone.
You're right. You're right. Absolutely right.
Well, it's the phone addiction.
Yeah.
That they can't separate themselves from it. And that is really the problem.
But
and
that
the other side of this is that, you're so connected to social media that you are curating your life instead of actually living it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the real shame.
Mm-hmm.
When you're with people and you're having a conversation and things are just flowing along, and there's someone in the group that has to look up every word that you just said. Like you'll say, I wonder, I don't know, I'm just making stuff up. I wonder when the weather's going to change. Oh, I'll find out. And why can't we just wing it here? We don't have to use this for every single thing.
Yeah, but that's our age. The young ones, they're in.
I know.
Yeah.
They're completely in.
Well, it's
It's
kind
part
of a
of their
training.
reality.
You feel like you have to be like in classrooms where they go, okay, here's the basket. Everybody deposit your phone right here. You get it back after the show.
Oh, there are some people that could not sit through that show.
No,
I
they
don't
No,
think.
no.
Because they have to check
Because they
their
are so
messages.
addicted to the presence of their phone. They feel like they've lost a limb if they don't have it with them.
Wow. Well, I don't know. I don't know, because you have an audience of people who are enjoying it.
Yeah.
So those people,
But
they
you know,
bought their tickets.
Frank's a genius at getting people to start paying attention, though, because he's very quick and he is funny, sarcastic. So he makes a point without insulting them, but it draws, like if you have a table of people and he starts picking on various, next thing you know, they're glued to watching the action, which is what
That's
they're
an
supposed to be
interesting
doing.
experience. That's an interesting experience.
Yeah.
Because I get it that they're just, it's lost, but so they're not lost.
No, I
No.
don't think so.
Oh, wow.
And in some cases, it needs to be pointed out. It's like, you don't really need that. You don't need that. I'll say my next line as soon as you put your phone away.
He's got dozens of those little quips.
Oh,
Or I'll be in the
I
middle
know.
of a line. This is another one. I'll say, we're here for one reason, and one reason only, to get him to turn around and watch us. And then the guy who I'm pointing to, he'll put his phone down and he'll turn around and go, oh yeah, there's a show going on.
Oh, man. Ugh. And
It's a lot of
years
fun.
ago, you guys were in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. The first
We did.
11 years, we
first
started
11 years.
Yeah, we started our business out there.
How, I understand that for people who live there, that's a wonderful city to live in.
Yes, it is. We were not sorry to leave and come back here, and honestly, we give very little thought to it there. It's a different life.
Well, you're so far away from everything.
Yeah, but
You know?
people
It's a-
flock to Las Vegas in the hopes of remaking themselves. This is a big.
Really?
Well, yeah, Las Vegas is kind of the last chance to go and create a new you.
I mean, we had a good life there. We had a nice house, we had a pool. I worked for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I was an advertising manager. Our three daughters grew up and went off to college while we were living there. But there's a lot to Las Vegas. People just see the Strip. What they don't realize is it's a town that was founded by Mormons before Salt Lake City. It's heavily populated by Mormons. There are neighborhoods that are, church-oriented, and they're far, far, far away from all of the activity down on the Strip.
Right.
There
what I was
are
talking about.
churches
The
all
city,
over
the town
Las
of Las
Vegas.
Vegas is supposed to be a wonderful place to live.
Yeah, well, okay, so yes, it has a lot to offer. One of the negatives for us was that everything you wanted to do, even with your family,
Yeah.
whether it was go bowling, go to a movie, go to a restaurant, every single thing filtered through a casino. And that's tough if you want to keep your kids away from knowing
Really?
too much
Yeah.
about the
There
casino.
is no Las Vegas that doesn't have casino.
No, the grocery
No.
stores, all the grocery stores. You go to Albertsons, you go to Smith's, you go to one of the huge grocery chains, because slot machines.
They have a slot machine room.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm glad I'm not there anymore.
Oh my goodness, we're down to 2 years. We're down to 2 minutes.
2 years? Okay,
No, no,
I can
no,
talk
no.
more.
Listen, give us your contact information again, because we've only got 2 minutes left.
Sure. Murder Mystery Dinner Theater. Fundraising events, private shows, birthday parties, anniversaries. Murdercafe.com. Look on the calendar page. We're booked straight through the end of the year. We have a couple of dates open if you need us. But murdercafe.com, yes.
And thank you so much. This has been a very fun program. And thank you very much, Miss Ellen. It was great.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.